Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing another books and beauty video, and this one's really exciting because today I'm going to be using Alaina's makeup bag. Now, I don't even know what's in here really. I do know Alaina really likes more of a natural look. I get some beauty stuff still sent to me every once in a while, and she loves to take that stuff. I don't know what is in here, and we are just going to use everything in her bag and try to create a makeup look using her makeup. Now, one thing that I may do though is add fake eyelashes because I kind of feel like wearing fake eyelashes today. I actually rarely wear fake lashes anymore, but today I just kind of feel like wearing them, so I might add that. We'll see. So we're going to talk about all the books that I read that I didn't get to in my last wrap-up video, and these are all books that I haven't talked about on this channel yet, so this is going to be a really fun one. So the first book that we're going to start with that I didn't talk about in my last video is a new release that came out this year, and it's Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. But before I talk about that, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to use. So she likes the e.l.f. Invisible Sunscreen Primer. This is kind of like a primer. And then she likes the e.l.f. Holy Hydration Daily Moisturizer. So I'm going to do this first, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of this. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is a new release, and this has been getting like rave reviews. And I love Taylor Jenkins Reid because she writes the most realistic characters ever. Like, there's something so beautifully flawed and realistic and natural about her characters. Like, you love them in all their flaws, right? And they just feel very realistic. And she did it really well in this book as well. Like, the characters just feel real, like they exist in real life. Next is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Foundation. This got really, really popular, especially with like Gen Z and Gen Alpha. All of her friends had this, and she's like, I need that foundation, so I got it for her. And this is in the color 0.5 Fair. This book is basically about a woman who is very smart. She's an astronaut. She's very into space and stars and constellations and all that kind of thing. And she gets a job working for NASA. And she's like going to be one of the first like female astronauts basically. And she is going through a struggle in this book with her sexuality. And this takes place in the 80s. And so it's a really interesting look at what being gay in the 80s would have been like. And I think that that was a really smart idea, just because I feel like, you know, especially younger people living in the world now, they don't know what it was actually like being gay back in like the 80s and even the 90s, and how taboo it was, and how you had to keep it a secret, and just how oppressed gay people used to be in the 80s and 90s. Like, it was really, really, really bad. And this book kind of follows her character in the 80s and her kind of trying to navigate her job and a relationship that she has with somebody that also works at NASA, and how they have to keep their relationship a secret. And it is just such a like heart-wrenching novel. So this foundation is actually really light. Like, it's not a heavy coverage foundation. Now, being an elder millennial, we definitely were heavy coverage foundation people, and I'm just used to that, so it's really hard for me to use really light coverage foundations. Like, I'm just not used to it and I don't like it, but if that's what you're looking for, that's what this is. But the thing about this book that was really interesting is it jumped from like past perspective to present. It starts off in the present day perspective with like this really, really scary and terrifying scene, and it kind of sets you off on like this journey of like, you know, kind of seeing her relationship with this woman kind of develop and stuff like that, but it keeps jumping back to present time to where you can see this really terrifying situation play out throughout the story. And I actually really liked that she did this because I think that it kept you really invested in this relationship, and it kept you really invested in the present timeline because you could see both elements playing out at once. Because sometimes I feel like when you tell things linearly, which I usually tend to like books in a linear timeline. I don't know why I couldn't say that, because I just kind of like the organization of that. Like, it's just very like, it's just, you're telling a story, right? But the thing that worked with this one is it kept you so invested and you cared so deeply about the present timeline because you were constantly going back in time and seeing their relationship develop, and like the really strong, sweet, and cute moments that happen at like the beginning of relationships. You kept going back to those and seeing those play out while this really terrifying situation was happening in real time. And it made it so you really cared deeply about this couple and this relationship. And it was just a really interesting way that she decided to write this book. And I really appreciated that because it was definitely a choice, but it was a good choice. And The only reason I gave this book 4 stars and not 5 is because I didn't like the ending. Like, the ending was so abrupt and I was so confused. Like, I turned the last page and I was like, that was it? Like, that was the end? Like, I kind of felt like there needed to be like a epilogue, and usually I don't even like epilogues. Like, epilogues get on my nerves, especially if I feel like the story ends in like a really good place. Like, I don't really need an epilogue, but this is one of those books that needed an epilogue so badly, and I was like, I was kind of disappointed with how it ended. That's the only reason why I gave it 4 stars. I also gave it 4 stars because I felt like the middle was like a little bit slow, and I kind of felt like I just kind of wanted to move the story along just a little bit at times. So that's kind of why I gave it 4 stars, but overall, like, the overall story was really good. Okay, so for my concealer, this is the Il Makiage I'm Flawless Concealer, 2.5. This is probably gonna be a little bit too light for me, but this is the one Alaina uses. She just took it out of my kit. And then she has the Palladio Forever and Ever Brightening Loosening Powder. This was also from my, you know, makeup kit from my past on YouTube. Let's see, what else does she have? Okay, so she has this e.l.f. bronzer and contour, like, liquid thing. Oh, she has the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush, and this is in Dusty Rose. So I'm going to use this as my contour, this is my blush, and then she has this highlighter. She got this highlighter for Christmas and the cap fell off. I don't know what this is. I think it's just like a Korean brand. Okay, so the next one I read was Pretty Boys Are Poisonous by Megan Fox, and this is her poetry collection, and I love a good poetry collection. Now here's the thing about this one. I've talked about this before, how I don't like poetry collections that follow a theme, because I feel like it gets really repetitive because they just say the same thing over and over and over again in like slightly different ways, and I sort of feel like this was like that. So as you guys know, this is kind of Megan Fox's poetry collection about like a toxic relationship that she had. And here's the thing, is I didn't hate this book. I would actually like to read more of Megan Fox's poetry if she talked about some different things, because I kind of feel like I only got a taste of what she can write because she only wrote about this one topic. And I don't actually think it was all that bad. I just want a little bit more from her. I want to see some different things, some different topics. Like, I would love to see Megan Fox write something inspiring or hopeful or thought-provoking in a way that's like different from just like relationship stuff. I get really, really, really bored of relationship poetry, toxic relationship poetry and stuff like that. So I didn't hate this book, to be honest. I kind of thought it was a fun read, but I would read more Megan Fox for sure. I think I gave it like 3 stars. So next up was I thought it was a romantasy, but it wasn't a romantasy. This was more like a romantic thriller, and there was no magic in it. There was no fantasy elements, which actually surprised me because it looks like it would be a fantasy, but it's not. And this is called Enigma, and this is by Runix. And I think this author wrote Gothicana, which I never read Gothicana, and I know that that book got very, very mixed reviews. But Alaina bought me this book for Mother's Day or something like that. So I was surprised by this one because, like I said, I thought it was going to be a romantasy, and it wasn't. This was kind of a romantic thriller set in kind of like a dark academia setting. And it's about a girl who, she's really into forensic science, why can't I speak? She's very into forensics, and she decides to go to school for forensics, and she decides to go to this one specific school. And the thing that's interesting about this character that I liked is she's definitely has autistic tendencies, and you can tell that the author did that on purpose. And I kind of liked that about her. She definitely had odd qualities. She definitely had kind of like that, she was definitely autistic coded, which I appreciated, and I think the author did a pretty good job with that. And she was very quiet, she was very shy, she was actually mute as a child, and she never had any relationships. She struggled to make friends, but she really wanted to go into forensics, and one day this girl washes up on the beach, and she finds her, and she wants to find out how she died because her sister also died at this school. And she's like, why do people keep dying at this school? Like, this is really weird. And in the process, she meets this man who is like a assistant to another professor at the school, and he is also trying to figure out like why these people are dying, and they kind of like team up together. Now this book was really fun, I would say. It wasn't like the worst book of all time, but I think it was just a little long for what it was, and I also didn't feel a very strong connection between the main character and the love interest. Like, this was one of those books where, you know, there'd be like steamy scenes in it, but I would be like, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't really care that much. And I also felt like her steamy scenes were really confusing. I'm like, I don't understand what is going on here and like how this is working. And I hate that. I'm like, this is weird and I don't get it. And I think it pulled me out of the story just a little bit. And their relationship didn't vibe. Like, I couldn't feel a strong connection between them. And if I don't feel a connection between the love interest and the main character, then I'm not going to love the book, especially if it's marketed as a romance. But I could see people liking this. Like, I think it was just me. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just don't connect with the romance and the story, and this was that type of story for me. But I'm still glad I read it. Like, I still had kind of a fun time reading it. I sort of feel like it wrapped up kind of quickly. Like, you spend so much time kind of trying to learn about what's going on in this school, and then all of a sudden the story kind of wrapped up like really fast. And I wouldn't say it was predictable, but it was like kind of predictable. Like, it wasn't one of those like big twists that like keep you on the edge of your seat or whatever. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. You know, it was like that kind of book. So if you like romantic thrillers or romantic suspense, then I would say give this one a try. But this one just wasn't my absolute favorite, but I still think it was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was kind of fun. Okay, the next one, you guys, was one of my favorite books that I read, and this is one of my new favorite books. I gave this book a gold star. And I've only given 2 gold stars this year, so this is one of them. And you know how sometimes you just come across a book where you're like, yes, like this author gets me 100%. Like, if I was to write a romantasy novel, this is what my romantasy novel would be like. And it was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I'm sorry. I know this book, some people like it, some people don't. I loved this book. Ali Hazelwood has a way of writing characters, chemistry between like the love interest and the main character. Like, the chemistry there was so good. Like, I can't explain it. It was like that yearning, that deep yearning that is so believable. And I feel like not all romance writers can do that. And I was so surprised by this because sometimes you're like, am I just not into romance anymore? Like, why am I not liking any romances? And it's not because you don't like romance anymore, it's because you're not reading a good romance. Like, you're not reading an author that actually can write good chemistry between characters. And this had fantastic chemistry. And basically what this was about was a vampire who falls in love with a werewolf, which, cute story. And the other great thing about this is it has the fated mates thing, which I love. I don't know why I love it so much, but it's one of my favorite tropes in romantasy. Okay, before I move on though, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to use. So I gave her this full exposure palette by Smashbox because she wanted something kind of natural for her eyes because she doesn't wear a ton of eyeshadow. But this has like a really good mix of like natural colors but then like shimmers at the same time. So this is the palette that I'm going to be using. This is kind of old, but we've never had any issues. So I need to do my eyebrows. I'm going to do my eyebrows first, actually. She doesn't have an eyebrow color because Alaina doesn't do her eyebrows, but I'm going to use a color from this palette. And there was just something about these characters that worked for me so well. I just loved it so much. I love the main character, but the thing, okay, here's my only gripe. Or I guess not really gripe, but curiosity. Okay, so I want somebody to tell me if I'm right here. I sort of feel like Ali Hazelwood's, you can tell, okay, how should I say this? You can tell that Ali Hazelwood is a extremely clever and witty person, and that her own personality really comes out in her writing, right? She just is really funny, and you can tell, like, that's just Ali Hazelwood's personality. So I feel like Ali Hazelwood's personality really came out in the main character, right? And so it had me thinking. It's like, I have this feeling that all of Ali Hazelwood's main female characters are going to feel the same. Because I can tell that Ali Hazelwood's own personality is coming out in her writing style, and she's made her main character basically her. And I'd be curious to know, do Ali Hazelwood's characters all feel the same? Do they all have that funny, witty, clever personality type where they have like those funny one-liners? Because if so, I mean, it's fine. I liked the main character, but at the same time, like, I feel like that's kind of a sign of poor writing when you write yourself, your own personality as the main character's personality, because it makes all your characters feel the same. And I don't really want that, because I do like a good funny character every once in a while, but I also love like softer characters, or characters that are a little bit more timid, or not quite so like funny, or you know what I mean? I like different types of characters. So let me know if I'm right in that, because I kind of had a feeling that that might be the case, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to be picking up, what's it called? Mate. soon. Actually, I'm going to do it right after I get done filming this video. I'm going to go down to my local bookstore because they held one of them back for me because I was like, I want that book. And they're like, we'll hold it back for you. So they did. And I think Alchemy of Secrets also came out too, so I might pick that up as well, but that might come out later this month. I'm not actually sure. So we'll see, but I'm going to go pick the books up today and I'm going to jump right into Mate. And here's the funny thing too, you guys, is I always say, oh, I'm not a series person, because I always think like I'm not a series person. Like I never want to re-pick up a series, if that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, it's just because I don't like series. Like I like to dive into something new, but that is not true. That's not true at all. I think that I will totally pick up a series if the series is actually good and I actually like it. Like I want to read Mate so bad because I actually liked Bride. Like I want to go back into that world and read it. And so I think it's a sign, you know, when you say like, oh, I'm just not a series person. Maybe it's because you don't actually like the series that you're reading. Maybe you didn't like the book as much as you thought you did. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited for this one and I'm going to jump into it next. I just finished a book called Fever Dream, which maybe I'll talk about in this video. I just got done with it. It's like a short horror story and it was freaking weird. It was like really weird. I mean, it wasn't bad. I gave it 3 stars because I was like so engrossed in it the whole time. I was so invested and I was like reading it really fast. But at the same time, it was so freaking weird and I don't know if I really like the ending. I don't even really know if I like the story, but I was like so into it. Have you guys ever had that experience where you're like, did I like that? Like it seemed like I did, but I also didn't at the same time. So I gave it 3 stars. It was just a weird, weird book. If you like weird literature, then read that book because that's what it was like. It was just super strange. It was a translated book. Anyways, I don't really have much to say about it, so that's my review of Fever Dream. Okay, so the next one was Lucinda Berry's 1 in 4. So this book was just really weird. Okay, so I used to be a big Lucinda Berry fan. And don't get me wrong, like I still could really like Lucinda Berry for sure. Like I'm not saying like I'm done with her or anything. Like I've liked her books in the past. They're very like beachy reads where you're like, they're easy to read. They're kind of like Frida McFadden sort of, I would say in a way. But this one just didn't really work for me. It's about this girl who is a drug addict and she's famous. So it's like this famous reality show of all these celebrities that are drug addicts and they go on the show to become sober. But when they're there, one of the girls gets murdered. And they have to figure out why she was murdered, who murdered her, how she died, all that kind of thing. And so this whole story, this main character who is the psychologist, the one that's like counseling them, she's the main character and she's trying to figure out who killed this girl because she really liked this girl and she's trying to figure out, you know, how she died or why she died or, you know, all that kind of thing. And this book was weird because it's marketed as like a celebrity reality show, but it's not that at all. Like you literally don't get that aspect of the story at all. You don't see them really like in that setting or in that scenario where they're being filmed for a reality show. That's literally not part of the story at all. It literally starts out as like them being part of this reality show and then like that's all you get about it. But the weird thing about this book is it felt like 2 books in one. You had this girl that died and they're trying to figure it out, but then like the second half of the book is just completely out of left field. I was like, what am I reading? We're not even like talking about this reality show anymore. We're following like completely different characters. It literally goes off the deep end and I'm like, what happened to this reality show storyline and this other thing? Like it felt like 2 separate books and it was very disjointed in that way and I didn't really like it that much. So now I'm going to be using just a black eyeliner that Alaina has. She really needs this sharpened, so I'm going to sharpen it for her because it is like completely dull. Do you see that? Her mommy saved the day. So the thing about this book that really bothered me was this, and it's funny because Lucinda Berry is literally I think a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I don't think she's a psychiatrist, but like a child psychologist. She's worked in that field before. But I found this so weird because the lady, the main character who was like the counselor, was like not following like it just felt very unrealistic for like how a counselor or a psychologist would act in this situation. Like the things that she was saying was just unbelievable to me. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, but she would never do that. I've counseled her before and I don't think that she would ever do that. And she was like trying to tell the cops like that somebody would never do something because it just didn't seem like her personality. That just seems very weird for like a counselor or a psychologist to say, I guess. Like, or I like her mom. Her mom is really nice. Like I've only had really great experiences with her mom. Her mom was just so great and nice and stuff. And I'm like, lady, if you're a real good psychologist, like, you would know that, like, not everything that your patients tell you or not everything that you see on the outside is what is true. You know what I mean? Like, just because the mom seems really nice, like, I really like her. She's always been so supportive of her daughter. I'm like, okay, and then there was this character in this book that was so freaking annoying. I don't think I've read a character that was more annoying than the character in this book. Truly, I don't think so. It was one of the most annoying characters where it took me out of the story because it was so bad. She was the most pushover, stupid character I had ever read about in my life. Like, it was one of those things where you're like, this character is obviously just used for a tool to set the story in motion and, like, make it a plot. You know what I mean? Like, she had to make this girl stupid as a freaking doorknob to make the story work. And so that definitely, like, took away a star as well. I think I gave this book 2 stars. It just wasn't very good. Wasn't interested. Actually, let's do some lips. She has a few lip products here. She has this one, which is my all-time favorite. This is the Ulta Beauty Weightless Water. I used this in, I think, my last video, and it's in Plum. So I'm not going to use that in this one because I used it last time. But she also has this Sensory Party. She got this for Christmas, I think. So I think I'm going to use this one. It's like a random knockoff brand. And it's kind of like a reddish, like a brick red color. It's a little... Actually, you know what? It's a little pink for my taste. Let's add this Weightless Water over the top because this is a very plum color. And I think that this could, like, neutralize it a bit. She also has a good lip liner that I actually want to steal from her, but I'm not going to, but I'm going to line my lips. I'm going to line my lips. So just so you guys know, the way I line my lips is I overline the top in the middle and the bottom in the middle, and then I do my regular lip line on the sides, and it gives a really cute shape. I don't know how much I love this lip combo. I'm going to do the middle line to make my lips look really full. Okay, so what was the book I was going to talk about? Oh, Wild Dark Shore. So this book was really popular and so many people were raving about this book, and don't get me wrong, like, it wasn't that bad of a book, but I gave it 3 stars. I actually wasn't all that into this book for whatever reason. Like, it was kind of like this weird romance, family drama, but it touched a lot on, like, climate change and grief. Like, it had a lot of, like, major themes in it that were really interesting, but at the same time it sort of lacked something for me a little bit. I sort of feel like this book just was, like, very, very, very all over the place. Like, it went on and on and on about, like, these... So basically there's this family on an island, okay? It's like a mom, or sorry, not a mom, a dad, a daughter, and his young son that's probably like 8 or 9, his daughter who's like 16, and his son that's like 18. And they're on this island because they're preserving these seeds because basically climate change is making it so there's fires everywhere, and, like, basically the world is ending because of climate change, and, like, they need to keep these seeds so they can replant these seeds someday and, like, have plant life and stuff. So they're basically keeping these seeds safe on this island. And one day this body washes up on shore. They don't know who it is. And this entire book is basically this woman, her name is Rowan, who washes up on shore, and she doesn't know why she's there. And they don't know why she's there. And the entire story is her trying to, like, remember what her purpose was for, like, going to this island and, like, why she's on this island. And it slowly kind of starts coming back to her. But at the same time, like, she is extremely suspicious of this family on this island, and this family is very suspicious of her. But, like, there's no talking happening about their suspicions. Like, basically they're just, like, living on this island together and getting to know her and kind of bringing her into, like, their daily chores and daily activities. But, like, everyone is suspicious of each other the entire book. And that's, like, a majority of the book, is just these people being suspicious of each other, but never actually doing anything to calm their suspicions. Like, they never talk, they never explain anything, and don't get me wrong, there's aspects to this book, like, at the end it kind of comes out why they're keeping secrets and everything, but this book just felt really, really pointless for a lot of it because you're just like, okay, what is going on? These people are just doing their daily chores and suspicious of each other. And then doing their daily chores and then suspicious of each other and then doing their daily chores. And then like they keep thinking in their heads, I'm so suspicious of this person. But like nothing really happens that much in this book. Just random daily chores. And in that way, I thought this book was really freaking boring. And obviously she was kind of like setting up for like bigger themes and stuff, but like it just wasn't interesting enough for the bigger themes to kind of reveal themselves at the end. I don't know. I just wasn't as big of a fan of this book as everyone else was. I thought it was a little boring at times. I think if you kind of like science and things like that, you might like it because there is some science heavy stuff. There's a lot of like information on animals and seals and whales and all this kind of stuff. But overall, I just thought this book was kind of boring and just not really that interesting. I also had a really hard time understanding the narrators of this book. Like the guy, the dad, kind of a hottie, not gonna lie, but like his voice was so hard to understand. He like whispered, talked, and I like couldn't understand him. And I think he had a little bit of an accent too, so it was like I can't hear what he's saying. But there was something I really liked about the dad character. I thought he was pretty complex and interesting. And some of the things that happened were really interesting, but it was just a little bit boring. Like it took a while for all the stuff to kind of come out and make sense at the end. So yeah, would I recommend Wild Dark Shore? Maybe. I think it was an interesting concept. I think she tried to do something unique and something different. And this is one of those books that has a very specific setting. And I really, really like books that have a very specific setting. I think it sets books apart from each other because I feel like sometimes domestic thrillers all sort of start feeling the same because they all kind of take place in the same type of environment. This one was really cool because it was on like an island that was like misty and cold, and it's set up for like a really, really interesting like ambiance, if that makes sense. This is a great book to read in like the fall if you are going to read it. Okay, let's put my lashes on. Those are really dramatic. A little bit too dramatic for just outer corner lashes, I feel like, because they don't blend with the inner part. Oh, These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Okay, so this was a book that's been on my TBR forever. It's been on my shelf for so long, and I've always had it there because I've always heard such good things about it, and I really wanted to read it because it was a love triangle, and I haven't read a love triangle in a really, really, really long time. I feel like love triangles aren't very popular anymore, and a lot of authors don't write them, and this one I heard was really good. And this one was really unique. It was unique, but it wasn't. I'll say that. So this had a lot of vibes of A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like if you are a Court of Thorns and Roses freak, then I recommend this one because it definitely has similarities, especially the beginning of the book. I was kind of like, why do I feel like I'm reading A Court of Thorns and Roses? And there's elements to it all throughout that kind of is reminiscent of that. It's just kind of a little bit different in how she decided to like finish up the novel. The thing about this book is it was really hard for me to feel invested in it because I was so suspicious of both of the love interests the entire book. Like you couldn't really fully trust either love interest, and I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about these people. Like both love interests were kind of like talking poorly about the other one, like you can't trust him, you can't trust him. So the entire time I'm like, I don't know who I can trust. So she was having like these romantic feelings for them, but at the same time like I couldn't feel fully invested in either one of them because I'm like, I can't tell if I can trust him or not, so I can't fully like embrace this love interest, if that makes sense. But the thing that she did well was she kind of made me switch back and forth a little bit. Like I would kind of be like, oh, I kind of like this one. Oh, I kind of like this one. And I couldn't decide like which one I actually liked better, which I think was really, really cool because usually there's one love interest where you're like, that's the one. Like that's the one I'm rooting for, or that's the good one, I can tell. This one wasn't like that. It was kind of like, wait, is it this one? Wait, is it this one? So it was kind of like interesting in that regard because I did find myself multiple times like liking one and then liking the other one, and that was entertaining. That was definitely entertaining. And I can definitely say that I was a little fooled with this one, and it ended on a massive, massive cliffhanger, and it made me want to read the next one because I was so curious. But for some reason, this book was really hard for me to get into. Like I kept putting it down, and it took forever for me to read this book. It took me like a month to read this book, or like 20 days to read it for some reason. But it wasn't that I wasn't liking it. I think what it was I was not really in the mood for a romantasy at the time. And what I should have done is put it down and read something else because I liked the book. I just don't know if I liked it at that time specifically, which I think affected my reading experience with it. I think that was the only problem. But I do think it's a really fun and creative book to read, and it's really fun if you want something kind of different in a romance. Like, you know, if you haven't read a love triangle in a while, it was kind of a fun one. And like I said, it did end on a cliffhanger where I was like, hold on a second, like I need to know what happens. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm going to read the next one at some point. I don't know when, but I do have the second one, and it's a duology. And duologies are great because they're pretty easy, you know, like you have 2 books, you read them and you can get into them, and then you're done and you can move on to like another series. Because sometimes I have a hard time committing to like 5-book series because it's just a lot, and I have so many books and so many series I want to read. And so when I'm stuck in the middle of like a 5-book series, I get a little frustrated or a little impatient. And that's why I love duologies, and this is a duology, so that makes it really, really nice. It is YA, and there's no like steam in this one, which is fine by me. Like, I don't need steam in my romances. In fact, sometimes I don't even really like it that much. Like, sometimes I feel like it takes away. And I don't feel like this one really needs it. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I would say that this one is like verging on new adult. There's definitely scenes that go a little bit more detailed than some YA novels do. So it's not so smutty that you're like, oh my god, like, can we move on from all of this sex, please? Because sometimes I feel like that when I read novels. I'm like, okay, we don't need another scene, okay? Like, we don't need another one. Like, I need to get on with the storyline. This eye is not working for me. Next was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak? I don't know how to say his name. I read this on my trip to Hawaii, and I was looking for something that was just a really fun vacation read, and this was a great vacation read. This was a really, really fun read. Great setting. Like a unique setting with unique characters. I really, really liked the overall like plot line and all that kind of thing. It kept me so invested. Like, I read half of the book in one sitting, which I never do that kind of thing. And this book was so easy to get through. It was so easy to get into. It read really quickly. It's mixed media, so you kind of feel like you're getting through the book quickly. So that's kind of a satisfying element to it, I think. And I really liked it. So if you're looking for something to read on like vacation, this is a great one. It's basically about a girl who is a drug addict, and she is in like a halfway house. So her sponsor gets her this job as a nanny for this little boy. And when she gets there, it's kind of like that like nanny trope where the child is kind of weird and you're trying to figure out like what's wrong with the child and stuff like this. But this one kind of has like a paranormal twist to it, which I thought was really, really interesting. And you start to kind of realize that there's something weird going on in this family, and this kid is drawing like really weird pictures, and she's trying to like put these pieces together, like who and what is drawing these pictures, because it's not this little kid who is like 6 years old. And it was a really fascinating, fun little story. I thought the ending was really well done. The ending didn't wrap up too fast. Like, it was a nice long, you know, conclusion to where it like kept you on the edge of your seat for a long time. And it was great for reading on an airplane because I was just like so invested in reading it the whole entire time. So I really recommend this one. I gave it 4 stars. It just didn't feel like 5 stars to me. Like, it was really good and I really enjoyed it, but like, you know how something just feels like 5 star and you can't really put your finger on why something is not a 5 star? That's kind of how this was. It wasn't quite there, but it was really good. I could probably give it like a 4.5. It was fun. It was entertaining. So that's it, guys. This is my makeup using Alaina's makeup bag. I think it turned out really pretty. This color is growing on me. I kind of like it once I have like my, you know, mascara and eyelashes done. I think at first, because I didn't have my mascara on, it was just like, whoa, that's a lot. But now that I have like my eyes done, it's a really pretty color. So yeah, that's kind of the makeup that Alaina has in her makeup kit. Alaina's actually been talking to me about wanting to do another video with me where she does my makeup, because she did one when she was really little, when she was probably like 6 maybe. And she always laughs at that video because it was just a 6-year-old doing my makeup. And I can't believe like I was on YouTube when Alaina was like so little. Isn't that weird that I have videos of Alaina when she was like 4 or 5 like on my channel? It's just weird because now she's in high school. But she wants to redo that video of her actually doing my makeup the way she does her makeup. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys like these makeup or books and beauty videos. I think they're really fun, and they're just kind of fun to like do my makeup and talk at the same time. It really combines my original channel content with like my new channel content, which I think is really fun. Anyways, that's it for this video. I am all caught up on my wrap-ups, so I'm really happy about that. So now I can start from scratch. I have a book haul that I need to do. I have a book unhaul that I want to show you guys. I'm getting rid of a lot of books that have been on my shelf forever, like 3-star books that I liked, but they've just kind of been sitting there. I'm never going to reread them again, so I have a lot of books I'm getting rid of. So I'll film that video next if you guys are interested in it, and I think that's it, guys. So I will talk to you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.